Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the FIA manufacturers at Catalunya in the Group 4 car. So starting from pole position was TRL Org in the Cayman, in P2 TRL Lightning in the McLaren, and in P3 Rick 918 in the Toyota 86, in P4 the SLS driver, and in P5 was MR Heiser 79 in the BMW. We managed to have quite a good qualifying, and probably my best qualifying of the day. I think it was by quite a margin in P6 there. So I was really happy with the qualifying. I was just hoping for a race where we don't get any issues and we just keep it clean, no mistakes, because recently we've not really been getting much luck. Even in the round after this, we've just not had much great luck at all, making mistakes, getting a lot of bad luck with other cars and stuff. So I was really hoping in this race that we could just keep a solid race from start to end and pick up some solid points. So you can see all the way through the grid there are some fast drivers in this race going down the grid. The good thing for us, there wasn't too many cars that could do the no stop. There was some, obviously. You can see there P13 in the Cayman and the Lexus. Obviously you can do the no stop, sorry, but some of the cars were a lot better. Obviously the Cayman and Toyota 86 were very strong cars at this track in terms of lap pace and also in terms of the ability to do a no stopper. So you can see there BFR Devil in P17 there. I was quite surprised to see him back there in that car. Obviously the 86 Group 4 car is probably one of the strongest cars around this track, one of the stronger cars anyway, and it's the only downside to that car is it's not very good on fuel consumption, so probably was going to be hard for them to do a no stopper. Although there, you can see how competitive the car was in terms of lap time with Rick in P3 there. Obviously has the pace to do well at this track. As we're going to start this race now, starting from P6, we're going to leave this all on board with the gameplay cameras that we raced on. Obviously, if you want to check out the live stream, you can check that out as well to see the lap deltas. Obviously, on the replay footage, we can't check out the gaps between different drivers. So starting straight away at the start, we're going into fuel save mode. The reason, obviously, I wanted to keep it on this view was to show you the short shifting that we were doing and trying to look after the tyres. We were also playing around with the fuel dial during the race, which you can check out, like I say, on the live stream if you want to see what I was doing with the fuel through the corners, mixing it up to level 2 and level 3 sometimes through the corners. You will be able to see that. As you can see, tried to take a wide line there. I saw the BMW go very tight through there, so I thought I'm going to just try and get a run on him straight away and get a position gained early in this race. So I let the revs go up and tried to make a move on the inside, brake late, take a nice move on the inside, and then get on the power in third gear nice and early, and we actually pulled that off and managed to get ourselves straight up into P5, which was nice. Straight away a position gained, and then going into this left hand corner, you can see trying to brake nice and early, and then getting on the power as early as possible. Got a little bit of dirty air off TR Lightning because he also had the same effect, but we just about kept our tyres in the white line. However, TR Lightning at that point, and I think one of the drivers up ahead, ran a little bit wide out of that corner, and just, it must have been fractions. You could see the tyres on Lightning's car, it was minuscule amounts outside the white lines, and this is where I think it's really unfair because he actually picked up a penalty for that. And in my personal opinion, that should just be a warning system, like I've talked about in streams. It should be a free strike system for an incident like that. I don't believe that deserved the penalty. His tyres were minuscule out. I mean, the difference between him and myself was so tiny, I don't believe it was worthy of a penalty. But the game, obviously, at the moment, with the way they do it at the moment, it's an instant penalty. Maybe in the future they could consider a free strike system. I would love it if they did, but who knows what will happen. But for ourselves, it meant good news really, because we're now up to P4, just behind the SLS that looks to be driving quite aggressive, and so does some of the other cars. So Org built up quite a big lead on lap 1, so I was starting to think at this point that Org is probably going to be going for a one-stop strategy. Myself was going for a no-stop strategy. You can see in the tyre strategy, we were actually running the racing hard tyres on the front and the racing mediums on the back. Now, the reason I've done that was because I wanted the front end grip towards the end of the race, because we were going for a no-stop race this time. On our first race we did a no-stop race with mediums all round. We managed to pick up, I think it was like P8 or P9, which wasn't a bad result, but I felt like there was more potential if I could just qualify a little bit better, which we did in this race. So we're going for a no-stop. You can see the BMW behind me trying to put me under a lot of pressure. I'm going to try my best to hold him off. Obviously, I'm doing a lot of fuel saving at the same time and just trying to make sure that I can hold on to this position. You can see, giving him space on the inside there. He's going to take that position. We're going to brake nice and early and try and go back up on the inside, trying to get on the power nice and early, but wasn't able to do that. But I think he actually picked up a penalty from somewhere beforehand, or it might have even been on this corner now as we see go a little bit wide there. Does he run wide? No, he must have picked up the penalty, I think, possibly on one of the previous corners. So I've got a feeling he might get a penalty going through this corner. It's somewhere that he picks it up, and on the straight he has to obviously ghost, and we get back that position back. So straight away we're back up to P4. So he did manage to get past us there, but now he's going to have to do all that again. And the good news was, obviously, if he does come back up behind us, we kind of know where he's going to try that move on the inside of that corner. So we might need to be a bit more aggressive on that corner just to hold him off. Obviously, I'm trying to still do my fuel saving. It looks like a lot of the drivers up ahead are driving quite aggressively, not really worrying about fuel. I wasn't sure about Rick, obviously, in the Toyota 86, because his pace didn't look massively good, but it's hard to judge. If I would have expected, to be honest, Rick to be a lot more right behind Org, obviously, if he was going for a one stopper, because Org's pace was showing that the type of speed that you'd need to do a one stopper. But Rick, if he was doing a one stopper also, I would have expected him to be right behind Org and putting him under a lot of pressure, as both cars are fairly equal around this track. As you see the BMW behind me, I had a little look up the inside there. We wasn't going to let that pass. We just decided to stick our line. He was too far behind, so wasn't able to make that move as we go through the long right hand corner now. Just trying to make sure we don't put too much power in to cause too much stress on the the front left tyre, sorry, which does take a lot of the tyre wear around this track. And again, we're going to go very narrow into this corner to make sure that he's going to have to go around the outside, but we're on the power a little bit more aggressively this time, and now we're going to stick to that left hand side to cover that position where he tried it before. So now he's going to have to go around the outside, which isn't really going to work, because then we got the inside for the next chicane up ahead. So again, we've managed to hold him off there and did quite a good job there. We were still doing reasonable with the fuel. We were using a little bit more fuel than what I would have liked during this early stage of this race, but like I said I think it was during the live stream, because I've put the harder tyre on the front of the car, I didn't mind using a bit more fuel early on to hold up people, because I felt like if anyone else was on a no-stop strategy, so if this BMW was on a no-stop strategy, and if he had medium tyres on, he was going to start struggling towards the end of the stint. So I was just trying to hold my ground, look after the tyres as much as possible, and hope that it will pay back later on in the race as we go through the long right hand corner here. Just trying to be careful on the throttle, not trying to put too much pressure. Again, you don't want it. Also, the other tyre we needed to look after was the rear left, because we were running the medium tyre on the rear, so that tyre did take quite a lot of wear at this track also. So it's really important to be careful on the throttle as we come out this corner. We get quite a good drive this time, and the one thing that is really good with the Aston Martin is it's able to defend in terms of straight line speed. So we're going to go to the right hand side of the track, we're going to let it rev a little bit more. You can see we short shifted there, but you can still short shift this Aston Martin and it still keeps quite good speed down the straight. So it's actually not a bad car in terms of defending when short shifting, as he has a little look up the inside there, but again, he's too far back. I just take my normal racing line there. There was no need to really run out wide. He wasn't close enough to make a move, and we're going to stay very narrow on this long right hand corner again and just be very patient on the throttle. You can see just feeding it in and then putting the short shifting through the corner. We were using mixture 2, I think, at this stage instead of 3, because we wanted to obviously save a little bit of fuel, but we wanted to hold on to this position, because the longer we hold this guy up behind us, the closest cars are going to get behind him that are on the one-stop strategy like that. The Alfa Romeo behind him, I did suspect that the Alfa would be on a no-stop strategy. Obviously, we all know how strong that car is in terms of doing strategies like that. The tyre wear on that car is abnormally good. It's by far the most overpowered Group 4 car in terms of tyre wear. We're managing to hold on though at this stage. You can see tyres are looking okay. It's quite even, that tyre wear, but once obviously the wear starts going, that's when the front left is going to start taking the understeer and the rear left is going to start spinning up a bit, and then tyres are going to start wearing out quicker than the others. But you can see behind us quite a long line of cars. You've got TRR Lightning coming back up. He's just slightly behind, I think he's just behind the Alfa Romeo there, and we got GTA Matty and P8. So our main competitor in terms of the manufacturer that we're in P8 there, 4 cars behind at this stage, and we're just going to try and hold on to the position. No one should be pitting at this stage of the race. I did expect to see some people going in the pits on lap 5. Obviously lap 5 is when the tyres, when the fuel, the best time to pit if you're going to do a one-stopper, because you want to get the undercut on anyone else, and also the fuel becomes lower, so that the car is actually a little bit better on the tyres towards the end of the race when you're doing that longer stint also. So you can see up ahead, you can see them cars seem to have pulled out quite a big lead. So this is making me suspicious that A lot of them were on the one stop. I still wasn't sure about Rick in this race though, because like I say, Org had built quite a considerable lead up, but I'm pretty sure that the Toyota 86 over one lap was more competitive than the Cayman. Obviously the Cayman is good around this track, but I think the 86 is probably, I'm not sure, 100% sure, but I feel like it might be slightly better than the Cayman over a hot lap. But you can see again, defending from that BMW, taking that tight line, and now you can see his tyre air seems to be kicking in. He seems to be struggling on certain corners to hold the tight line. So maybe he's on their medium tyres doing a one-stopper, and that did make me start to think that he might be, especially with how aggressively he was driving. It looks like he was pushing a little bit harder on the acceleration zones than what I was, as he tries to lunge it up the inside there, which would have been a pretty suicidal move, but I think he decided to back out of that, and there was no way I was going to let him back through there. As I chuck it into this right hand corner, so I'm just slightly ahead of him, and you can see the understeer on that BMW is really suffering, so it looks like he's starting to really pick up the understeer with them more worn tyres in this race so far. And luckily for us, he's too far back to make a move into the hairpin, but he looks like he's getting put under quite a bit of pressure now from the Alfa Romeo. Obviously the Alfa Romeo much stronger on its tyres than the BMW, and I really was surprised that Alfa Romeo hadn't come through a lot more than what it had done so far. It seemed to be struggling in certain areas, maybe not using the full potential of that car. Obviously around here, we all know that if this would have been a nations race, pretty much everyone would have been in the Alfa Romeo. As we see that RC Snake and Tiara Lorg are in the pits, and the BMW behind me. I wasn't 100% sure if that BMW would be on the no-stop strategy or one-stop, and I was really happy to see that car went in the pits there. And now we've just got Rick ahead of us and the Alfa Romeo in P3. So at this stage, when the Alfa Romeo stayed out, I was pretty sure that Alfa Romeo might be on a no-stop strategy also, as TRR Lightning has overtook the Alfa Romeo there on the straights. Obviously that's the weakness of the Alfa. It's so slow down the straights. The McLaren is actually quite a fast car down the straights. It's got pretty decent speed when it comes to straight line, and now Lightning's back up to P3, but it looks like the Alfa Romeo has got back up alongside during the corner, during the handling section, and got himself back up into P3. So we're obviously holding on to this position. It's interesting, at this point in the race I wasn't sure what strategies everyone was on. I'm pretty sure that Lightning would be on the no-stop strategy as well. Obviously Lightning very good with his fuel economy as well, and obviously very good with his tyre wear management. But Rick up ahead, now I was starting to realise that it looks like Rick was on a no-stop strategy in that Toyota, and I was suspecting it, obviously due to the fact that he wasn't right up Org's rear of his car. It looked like there was a gap that had developed, so Rick obviously doing a lot of fuel management, maybe pushing a little bit, and then making sure that he had to do a little bit more saving during the end of the race. But with the tyre advantage he would have, he probably wouldn't have been that under threat from anyone. As you can see now, the Alfa behind me putting me under a bit of pressure. Looks like he's obviously got much better tyres, but I'm just going to hold on to this position and keep the fuel saving up. It'll be interesting to see, was he going to pit now, or was he going to stay out and try and catch up to P1. Obviously that Alfa, one of the best cars around there, so it was surprising if he was going to pit. I did expect him to stay out, but as we go over the final corners there, you can see he actually peels off into the pits in the mirror behind, which I was really surprised that I did not expect that car to pit. Maybe it was something to do with the fuel consumption. You can see he's only got 31% left, I think, on the fuel there, so not much fuel at all, and we've got just about enough. We've got pretty much the fuel we need to get to the end. We're gonna have to do a little bit more fuel saving than what we've done in the early stages. So what we were doing, if you want to check out the live stream, we were doing mixture 2 and 3, mixing it up between both of them. What that also does is it helps the tyres. You can see I'm trying to take really wide lines just to lower the amount of steering input I'm having to put through the corner, and just slowly feed that steering inputs in all the way out to the exit and look after them front tyres. But now we're going to have to also start defending from TRR Lightning, in my personal opinion, probably GT Sport's fastest driver on the game. There are people that probably will say he's not, and they'll argue the fact that Igor is faster and other drivers, but in my personal opinion, TRR Lightning is number one as a general across the broad selection of cars and tracks. I think overall he's my personal choice for rank 1 driver. I know there are situations where he's probably not going to be as fast as certain other drivers, different cars, different tracks, etc. But overall, my personal opinion is he is the number one. As you can see, he's gaining on us and gaining on us there. He's now in the slipstream. Obviously, fuel consumption, and obviously on that McLaren, I'm not too sure how strong the McLaren is when it comes to fuel saving. I really don't know. I've never really driven it when fuel saving is needed, but you can see it definitely seems to be a bit better on the tyres than the Aston Martin, which is pretty much an obvious because it is MR. Obviously, it is MR, however, it does use up the front tyres a little bit more than most MR cars. However, it's still going to be better than the Aston Martin on the front. So we're going to have to try and defend down the straight. We should be able to do that with the speed of the Aston Martin, although that McLaren, like I say, is no slouch and it is very fast at short shifting. The McLaren is actually at its fastest, I think, shifting about 50 to 60%. So that's why that car is quite competitive in no stop races where fuel saving is needed. As you can see, he's in the slipstream, probably doing a lot of saving now behind my car, and probably using the mixture on a really lean setting to save it for the end of the race when he might need it a bit more, and he can obviously then possibly drive the final lap a little bit more aggressive and go for an overtake. But going through these corners, you can see I'm really trying to keep it tight and just stop him being able to make a move and get the inside line for any of the corners as we come out the corner now and working our way into this right hand corner up end. This is the overtaking position which a lot of people were using as an overtake, obviously trying to go around the outside. I'm going to take it really tight to the apex there. Lightning actually gives us a little tap there, obviously able to carry a little bit more speed than what I am through there with the car that he's in. And no harm done though, obviously no penalty. It was just a little nudge from the rear as we now carry on with this fuel saving strategy. You can see the front left in better condition than if you watch the live stream. You'll see the two different races I did when we had the mediums on at this stage, and when we had the mediums on, the front lefts were pretty much dead at this stage. But with the harder compound tyre on the fronts, they're hanging in there and they're actually creating a bit of grip through these fast corners still, and we're actually doing a good job. You can see there in P4 GTA Matic a little bit behind now, about four seconds or so behind the battle for this P2, as Rick in front had actually gone away at the race. He's way ahead. You can see him on the mini map there approaching the chicane, so he's managed to build up a nice comfortable lead there and done a really good job with that car, obviously maintaining good speed and good fuel consumption. A really good job by himself, but that's what I did expect from that car. Obviously the only issue with that car, like I say, is I'm not sure how good it is on fuel consumption, the Toyota 386. We just know it's really good with tyre wear and handling, so done a great job anyway there to maintain the speed that he's doing and going on a no-stop strategy. However, we do have TRL Org now in P4 and he has pitted, so he's going to be coming through on the fresh tyres and trying to make his way through and get himself back up into P2 by the looks of it, because to be honest, Rick looked like he was a little bit too far away for Org to catch up, so it does look like the no-stopper was the best strategy. As you can see, Lightning there hanging in there, really getting close on the acceleration now. Was he going to have a little look on the outside there? He's getting on the power. I'm going to go to the right hand side and defend this now as we go into the right hand corner and take the very tight line that the Aston Martin did like through this corner. It did like to go very narrow to that apex and then get on the power, as Lightning gets a massive amount of understeer. It looks like the dirty air caused him to get a massive amount of understeer, and a very unusual mistake for Lightning to make there, which has dropped him down now to P4, and we've got Org right behind us as we approach the last few laps in this race. So this is going to be one thing. At this stage I knew that obviously Org was, I was pretty sure that Org had pitted obviously, and because I wasn't sure whether he had made a mistake or whether he had pitted or what, but I could see how much more speed he had, so I was going to try and let him pass at the earliest opportunity. As we now go to the right hand side, I put my hazards on there, but he had a penalty, so he dropped back low. I was going to make him let him go through into this corner and then just tuck in behind him, but he had a penalty, so that means he's going to have to try the move on another lap now, as he now has to regain speed and try and find a way past somewhere else on the track. But obviously we're going to keep our tyre saving and fuel saving up through these corners. I was doing a lot of mixture changing, putting into mixture free through these corners, because that is it, you're not going to lose too much because it's not a really flat out section. It's more about handling, and mixture free actually looks after the tyres quite well. And then back into mixture one for the main straight as we go over the line and just try and concentrate on that fuel consumption. You can see shifting just around 50% as we go down the straight, and it doesn't look like Org's going to be close enough to make a move, or is he? It looks like he was getting closer and closer, so I at this stage thought I'll put my hazards on and let him go through, because there's no point fighting him. So the hazards went on, we go into the braking brake pretty much where he should, but Org totally missed his braking. I think he said to Lightning that he was messing around with his fuel consumption dial, changing his, obviously the fuel mixture, and looked up and totally missed the braking and went straight into the rear of my car. So was a little bit of a shame, and you can see because of that, obviously the tyres took such a pounding on my car, and they literally had no grip because we'd been off the track, and that meant that Lightning managed to get back into P2. So it's a little bit frustrating for me because I think that we might have been able to hold Lightning off. It would have been close. We lost about, I think it was about 4 seconds in that incident there. You'll see as we go over the line, we were doing 1 minute 56s, 0.5s on the previous lap. Let's have a little look what the next lap is, as Org there looks like he's just going to sit behind. And to be fair to Org, much respect for what Org did in this race. I think he deserves a lot of credit. He did make that mistake, obviously wasn't deliberate, but what he did now was really commendable, and I think not many people would have done this. You're going to see now he doesn't overtake me. What he's going to do is just sit behind me and basically let other cars go past. He lets the Mercedes through because he's not going to battle for me, and the Mercedes makes a dive up on the inside. Obviously much better tyres. I'm going to try and do the undercut, and even though I've got the worn tyres, I'm going to try and fight for the position, try and get up on the outside, but there's no way I'm going to go around the outside with a car that's got much better tyres. You can see there now, no way I've got the grip, as he runs a little bit wide out the corner. He actually runs all 4 wheels over the white line, so that's an instant penalty, and he did actually pick up a 1 second penalty for that, which you'll see him taking a bit. But this was a little bit frustrating. We lost a bit of time to Lightning there, obviously, as well, as we had to let that car through. So we lost about maybe half second to a second as we go down the straight. And now what you can see again, Org, he's not going to go for the overtake, he's just going to bump draft us down the straight. So really commendable of Org. He's not going to try and overtake us. He knows he probably lost me a position there, as we went over the line with a 2 minutes 1, so 5 seconds slower than what we did on the previous lap. So I think we lost at least 4 to 5 seconds there in that instant, which is a big shame, because if you look, Lightning is only 2.5 seconds ahead of us. Would he have been able to get, I don't think he would have been able to make up that amount of time on the final lap. It would have been close. We might have been able to defend though with the speed out of the Aston Martin. I think he would have had better tyres. He might have been able to go for a move somewhere, but it would have been nice to see if we would have been able to hold on to that position. Obviously Org would have got past us, so we wouldn't have been fighting for P2. It would have been P3 we would have been fighting for, because that Mercedes would have been right behind Lightning, and obviously right behind me would have been Lightning. So it would have been very close. Who knows how it would have gone. We might have still ended up with a P4 anyway, but at this stage you can see how commendable Org is. He's not going to make a move. He's just sitting behind us and basically accepting the position that he's in because of the mistake he's made, which is really good to see, and I think he deserves a lot of respect for this. Org is a very respectful driver, and that's why whenever I do come up against Org, like what I was doing in this race, was I was going to let him go because he had fresher tyres. Org races fair, so I always try and race fair with him. I was not going to battle him, but it was just such a shame that he missed his braking and went straight into the rear of our car. But things like that happen. It's just a shame. Again, it was another race with an incident like that where we weren't really in control of it. So a little bit of bad luck, but we're still going to be coming over the line with a good result here, picking up a P4 with the Aston Martin at Catalunya. I did not expect that from this race, to be honest. I expected, P7 or 8 was the best we could have got out of these races with this car. But the strategy was perfect, the tyre choice was perfect, and just that little incident that maybe cost us one more position. That's all that we would have really got there. As you can see, RC Snake ended in P3 because he had that penalty, and we go over in P4 and pick up some solid points. We actually picked up just over 2,000 points from that race, so not a bad result. Well done to TRL Lightning as well, managing the no-sub strategy and getting himself up to P2. It was a shame that I wasn't able to fight him to the end. I think it would have been very close between myself and TRL Lightning on the final lap, but we still finish the race with some good points. As you can see there, we picked up 2,177 points, which is quite a nice point. So I think it was 2,300 for the position ahead, which would have been nice to pick up that little bit extra, but overall not too bad. You can see we had a disaster in the last round just after this race, obviously in the race at Kyoto. You probably would have watched that on stream. Not the best. We're having a little break from GT Sport for maybe a day or two, just giving ourselves a little bit rest off the game because we're not having much luck on the game at the moment. We're making mistakes, and I just need to have a little break from the game, maybe a day or two, and concentrate and come back hopefully a little bit stronger and try and concentrate on consistency a little bit more. Maybe we're pushing ourselves a bit too far in the race, trying to get the results that we feel we need, but I'm sure it'll come back and we'll end up with better results in the future. I'm sure it'll happen. So Anyway, thank you again for watching that video. That race was a really good result for myself. It was nice to be back up there fighting with the real top drivers. That's what I want to be doing on this game. So it was really enjoyable. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure you give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. And click that notification button so you don't miss any videos in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.